Miguel Sancho is a veteran TV producer and author. His new book, Evidence of the Extraordinary, takes readers inside UFO investigations. All right, Michael, let me start with you. The Trump administration, they're clearly touting this as transparency. Is today really as big a step forward as they say it is?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I think it's a huge day. I mean, this is the beginning of, I think, a new era of disclosure. I think it's important for people to put this in context. The federal government's approach to this issue for decades has basically been to debunk and to ridicule the people that see things or that report things. And we also have, most recently, there was a Department of War agency called AARO that was tasked with releasing this, and they were just releasing tiny little amounts of information here and there, like one video, making a big deal of it, debunking something. It was just in dribs and drabs. Here we're getting large tranches of information. I've seen some people online complaining that they're not getting, what they were expecting to get, but this is much more than we've ever seen the federal government release before, and it's just the beginning. So I think there's been people's expectations may have been gotten out of whack. I think it's hugely significant, and we should all be quite grateful to the Trump administration and President Trump for taking action finally.
You mentioned dribs and drabs, Michael. Why do you think they put only some of it out today and then they sort of tease more to come after that and more to come after that? I mean, why not just put it all out, Michael, right away so everybody can see it instead of sort of like it almost reminds me with the Epstein files, they did the same thing, and then it almost creates more conspiracies in a way.
I think the likely answer, and I don't know for sure, is just that they're still deciding what they can release, and that there's always going to be people inside these agencies that are going to be arguing against release. In the case of the Epstein files, which I also covered, they got some of them out too fast, and they actually ended up redacting names of innocent people, hurt some people. So I think that some care is required and some understanding from the public. But I think the really fundamental point here is that this really raises the question of what exactly was AARO supposed to be doing all those years if it wasn't releasing this information? It claimed it had the authority to do so. It apparently was able to go and ask for things to be declassified. Senator Gillibrand, Senator Schumer, the House, the many people in the House of Representatives that have been advocating for disclosure, they should have some hard questions about what exactly that was about. Because I think in retrospect, you look at it and it's like, God, it feels like we were all wasting our time on tiny amounts of information when we knew they were sitting on much larger tranches. This is the first one. I think we'll expect to see more. And as you had on earlier, Representative Burlinson, who was saying, look, we have very specific things that they've asked for. Luna, Burlinson, Congressman Mace, they've all requested specific documents, specific videos. So we're in a new era now. I think I think people are not excited enough about what's happened. I think AARO, you look at Blue Book after World War II through to AARO, the government's whole objective was to dismiss this issue. Now they're releasing the information, and you have, even the chief technology officer of the United States saying we should all be getting involved in the search for extraterrestrials. I think that represents a real tidal shift in the government's attitude towards this issue.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that happening like 5 or 10 years ago. Miguel, you've obviously produced several UFO documentaries. You've got a new book out about UFO mysteries. UFOs don't automatically mean aliens. These videos could be anything, right? I mean, they're obviously unexplained, and the government's acknowledging that they're unexplained, but they're not necessarily aliens.
And happy disclosure day to you, Brian. And I agree with Michael that this is indeed a momentous moment in the history of this topic. And we should be saying to the government, thank you, sir, may I have another or another tranche after that? Because indeed, there's tons of stuff that they just released today. But some of the stuff is, I would say, somewhat insufficient in terms of trying to get a true scientific analysis of it. You'll notice all these videos, including the one we have up right now, all the telemetry and data from the camera has been redacted. So it makes coming to true scientific conclusions much more difficult for the people who do this. The other thing is, yes, as you were saying, just because something is unexplained doesn't mean that we need to make the leap and say it's alien technology right away. Clearly, some of these things could be misidentified drones. Some of them could be misidentified balloons. We know that the Chinese have been spying over us over the last several years. And this particular one that you're showing right now, the people have looked at either this video or something much like it, and have concluded that that 8-point star is really a diffraction artifact in the camera, and that the contrail could be anything from a missile or perhaps a parachute flare. So there's plenty to talk about. There are very interesting videos in here. Of course, I'm particularly interested by the one from Greece in 2023 that shows the UAP engaging in very unpredictable maneuvers, which is one of the 5 observables that Lou Elizondo initially established when he was working with ATIP. But interestingly enough, if you look at the mission report document, the pilot says, yes, it was using a form of propulsion that he couldn't identify. But then one of the questions is, was it under intelligent control? And he says, no. So there's many steps we have to get to, I think, solid proof that it is indeed non-human intelligence or alien technology. Also, I would just add, the one thing I was really looking forward to was potentially seeing some sort of documentary confirmation that the granddaddy of them all, the so-called legacy program, the retrieval and re-engineering program, reverse engineering program, actually does exist. You get hints of it, that there have been threats being made against people, and claims that they've been told not to talk or that their videos have been deleted, but we don't have. Considering how vast that program must be, you'd think that there would be some documents that we get at some point that would confirm that that exists.
It's interesting that you sort of think that the 8-pointed star is the most explainable. To me, as an outsider, it's like that's the craziest one. But the same with the Admiral. He wasn't as impressed with that one as he was with some of the others, like the one that went between the windmills. Miguel, Michael, appreciate you both for coming on today. Disclosure Day, appreciate you both. I hope you both have a good weekend.
Thank you for having us.